Dell is starting 2020 with a bang, and at CES this year, the company is showing off for the first time some prototype devices that won't necessarily hit the market very soon, but is an indicator of what the company is working on. Dell's never really been the type of company to show off a prototype device before it's ready for launch, but with all of the hype and the interest around dual screen devices and folding screens, it's clear that Dell wants to be a part of the game. We got to check out two of such concept devices here at Dell's pre-CES briefing event. The first is the Duet, which is a dual screen device connected by a hinge, while the other is the Ori, or like origami, which means folding, and this is therefore a device with a foldable screen. And just so we're super clear, there's no real launch date, no availability for any of these things yet. These are really just proof of concept, proof that Dell can engineer such devices. Because of that, there's not a lot of actual specs that we know, but let's start with the Duet. These are two 13.3-inch screens connected by a hinge. And according to Dell, the technology is pretty much already there to make such a device happen. Dual screen laptops aren't that technologically challenging compared to folding screen devices. And what Dell needs to figure out here is how the software would work and what sort of battery life they can get out of it, as well as what accessories they want to make work with this thing. Neither the Duet nor the Ori run any sort of official Windows 10X software just yet, so Dell's actually had it set up to run some demos that the company itself had come up with. Now, when we talked to Dell executives on site, they explained that showcasing these devices is sort of an exercise in figuring out what software would be required, and then when Windows 10X does roll out, the company will see what gaps might be missing and decide if their own software engineers need to come up with any of the applications they believe consumers would want. The Duet's hinge can rotate 360 degrees, so you can fan it out and spin it and open it so that you're using it in tent mode or laptop mode or as a double-sided tablet. When I was playing with it ever so briefly, the whole device felt very sturdy. It's clear that Dell put some thought into this. It's not just something that feels 3D printed. We were also able to run some apps on both the screens concurrently and use 3 fingers to flick a window up to the top screen or 4 fingers to extend an app across both displays. There's also a keyboard accessory that allows you to put a real physical keyboard on the bottom screen so that you get a more natural typing experience when you're banging out a document on the go. There's not much else that we really can say about the Duet. There is like 2 USB-C ports on there, but a final product might have a different array. We can't tell you what sort of battery life we're expecting to get out of such a display-heavy device. So I would say stay tuned for Dell's announcements the rest of the year. But let's move on to the Ori, which to me is the slightly more interesting device. This is by no means the first folding screen laptop or laptop-like device we've seen. Lenovo already showed us a prototype last year with the ThinkPad folding concept device. Dell has a very similar take on this. This is a panel that folds in on itself, and so it has all of the necessary engineering required to make this happen, like a durable hinge that works with the screen so that it's not breaking things. As with most devices with folding screens, whether it's a laptop or a phone, there's also a noticeable crease running down the middle of the panel, and what Dell's doing with the Ori is trying to see just how much crease is acceptable. On this particular unit, it was a 13.4-inch POLED or plastic OLED display, and everything really looked gorgeous on there. I actually didn't find the crease all that glaring until I really looked for it, so I think Dell's onto something here. Of course, we've learned from the Galaxy Fold and other folding phones that such devices are so prone to damage, and Dell's aware of that, telling us that it is looking at how to make these devices more durable, but the company couldn't share a lot of specifics just yet. As for the software, the story here is very much the same as the Duet. This is running a demo that Dell created, and it's not running Windows 10X just yet. Aside from all of the stuff that I just told you, there really isn't that much more we know or can say about the Ori. It's got relatively chunky bezels, I guess, but there needs to be something for people to grip onto anyway. We're also not sure if these will be in the final product if and when such a thing comes to pass. So if these things are still such early stage devices, why is Dell doing this? The answer really is that Dell is trying to figure out and solve for the problem of foldables. It's also probably aware of Lenovo's own folding laptop and wants to tell people to wait and see. Plus, with Asus already making the ZenBook Pro Duo a thing, dual screen laptops are already kind of outdated. The big trend now is making folding screens into smaller devices that you can take around with you more easily. And that's why the Ori and folding screen laptops are very exciting to me. Too bad we really have to wait till later this year to learn more about any of them, and maybe even beyond this year. But still, I'm already very intrigued by what we're seeing as early as the first few days of 2020. There's still plenty of eye-catching products coming out of CES 2020, so make sure to stay tuned and hey, subscribe to Engadget to catch all of that as it happens.